You can begin, Sheikh.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome everyone here again, inshallah. So just to begin here, I want to go ahead and cover this little text here. But before we begin that, inshallah, just reminding everyone here that, of course, we've entered the last 10 days or 10 nights of Ramadan, subhanAllah. And, we must keep in mind that it was only, 20 days back when we started Ramadan, but it only feels like it was just been a few days, right? So this is truly when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ, that it is only a few numbered days, subhanAllah. Really, it's really, just a few numbered days and it goes by very quickly. So inshallah, if we have been making the most of Ramadan and doing what we're supposed to do, then alhamdulillah, well and good, and we can still improve, of course. And if we have been lazy in these couple days, then now is the time to pick up, inshallah, especially in the last 10 days or nights of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to reach and live Laylatul Qadr, which is better than Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr, which is better than 1,000 months, subhanallah. So I advise everyone, inshallah, and of course myself as well, that we should try to strive, and do our best in these last 10 days of Ramadan. Read more Quran, inshallah, give sadaqah every single day, even if it's just $1, $2, right? Because who knows, if we encounter that night or that day, that night, inshallah, when everything is multiplied. Okay, so I want to go ahead and just talk upon something here, this topic. You guys can see the screen, is that correct? Can you guys see the screen? Brother Uzair, can you see the screen?
Yep, we can see the screen on the
Okay, alhamdulillah. So just go here. So this is a text here, or just a small treatise, you can say. It covers how to recite Surah Al-Fatiha correctly. Okay, why did I choose this? Inshallah, I will read here, and you guys will see exactly why I chose this. So the author of this is Sheikh Mustafa Sha'ban, a very prolific scholar, qari, muqri. He's done a lot of work in the science of qira'at, especially asanid and so on. So anyways, it was myself and my teacher, Sheikh Muhammad Riyad, we translated this small treatise. So I narrate from him, who narrates directly from the author. So it's called the series on Ada of Quran, the gift to the beloved on the beautifying the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. So after he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sends the salat and salam upon the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he begins here and says, it is well known. Let me just get, I don't think I can use that pointer. Okay, that's fine. You guys can see her anyways, inshallah. It is well known that Surah Al-Fatiha holds abundant virtues, for it is known as As-Sab' al-Mathani in Al-Quran al-Azim. Some of its peculiarities include it being an introduction or opening chapter of the Book of Allah. It is also known as being a cure, a shifa, and contains many great meanings. It is a pillar of salah, which itself is one of the pillars of Islam. Thus, in order to uphold the pillar of salah, every Muslim is required to uphold the letters and words of Surah Al-Fatiha by reciting it with an adequate amount of tajweed as to avoid any distortion in any of the letters. Hence, the reciter does not stumble and fall into committing lahan jali, which is a clear error. Inshallah, this will be discussed in the next few pages. Thus, by committing a lahan jali, a major error, the reciter might change the meaning of a word or even an entire verse, and in doing so would nullify his or her salah. Thus, by way of nasiha, advice towards the Book of Allah, many scholars have compiled numerous treatises which discusses the importance of applying the correct ada. Okay, can be translated as elocution. Ada is actually down here. It's for those who are more advanced in tajweed, you might be interested down here in the footnotes. Ada comprises of three things. Nabr. Nabr means when you apply the correct, you can say, pressure on a certain word. So for example, fa'ala as opposed to fa'ala, right? Akala as opposed to akala. So you apply pressure on the hamza rather than the lam. Itmam al-haraka, which means completing the haraka. So when you're saying the fatha, you open your mouth completely, a. When you say the kasra, you lower your jaw, e. And when you say the dhamma, you round your lips, u. And this is a common mistake where many people do not do so. And obviously tajweed. So anyways, here he says that they've compiled many treatises covering the importance of ada of the surah. Hence, he says here that, just to summarize here, that he will try to basically cover the main points of Surah Al-Fatiha in order so that we can recite correctly, inshallah. Now, of course, this is according to the riwayah of Hafs and Asim. So just to, you can say, summarize here, there are many types of qira'at or riwayat. So you may have heard of Asim, Warsh, Nafi', etc. So this is, of course, the recitation in which you can say most of the world recites it. More than probably 90-95%. They recite in this recitation, which is Hafs and Asim. So if you ever hear of this term, Hafs or Asim, then you know what we're talking about, inshallah. So he says, my objective is not to indulge in long discussions, rather I opt for brevity. Okay, let's begin here. So lahan, the term lahan, and I discussed this in the 2 weeks back if you were there. So lahan basically has many linguistic meanings. The famous of them is to make a mistake or to err in the nahu, in the Arabic or the Arab syntax. And there are two types of lahan. Lahan means a mistake. So there's a clear error or clear mistake. Why? Because it's clear to everyone listening that a mistake has been made. Okay, and there are basically 4 main ways a person can make a major mistake. Okay, number 1 is by adding a letter. So for example, you say alhamdulillahi as opposed to alhamdulillahi. Okay, or you change a letter. You say alhamdulillahi as opposed to alhamdulillahi with a ha. Or you drop a letter. So you say lam yalid wa lam yulad instead of yulad. Or you change a vowel, so you say alhamdulillahi as opposed to alhamdulillahi. And it's very important, my dear brothers and sisters, I explained this last time as well, that we should be reciting properly. Very important because we can change the meaning, subhanAllah. If someone were to recite with a qaf, qalb, and they change the qaf to kaf, it becomes kalb. Okay, kalb means a dog and qalb means a heart. And the only difference was between a qaf and kaf. Likewise, I gave the example last time that if you change one haraka, like a fatha to dhamma to kasra, subhanAllah, you can change the full meaning, right? Drastically. I mean, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Ibrahim alayhi salam. If you were to just change that one haraka and put fatha there, dhamma here, you can change the whole meaning, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Ibrahim, and the opposite, we don't even want to say it. Or for example, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءُ. That indeed it is those scholars who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you change the fatha there and dhamma here, then you change the meaning, subhanAllah, saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, afraid, al-'iyadhu billah. So it's very important, very extremely important that we focus on this, especially Surah Al-Fatiha, right? If we're reciting Surah Al-Fatiha incorrectly, according to, you could say, all the scholars, the salah would be invalid, right? So we would have to repeat the prayer there. So it's very important that Surah Al-Fatiha is recited correctly, inshallah. And of course, all the other surahs, but so we can begin with Surah Al-Fatiha, And of course, the purpose of this, you can say, talk here is not, you can say, motivates some of you, inshallah, so that you go ahead and try to fix your recitation if you were careless about it in the past. So he says these errors have been deemed as haram, prohibited, and would nullify the salah if it occurs in Surah Al-Fatiha. So lahan khafi is a hidden or error that occurs in the temporary characteristics. So lahan khafi, okay, khafi means hidden. So remember, lahan jali was a major mistake, and that occurs. Why is it called major? Because everyone can hear the mistake. Khafi is hidden because it is hidden to most people, and only those people who have been trained in tajweed would be able to pick out those mistakes. Okay. So for example, lengthening of the med, right? Where do you stretch the med, and where do you drop it? For example, وَلَضَّالِّينَ, or B, you can see not applying ghunna in the letters of ghunna. So you say inna Allah as opposed to inna Allah, or you don't apply ikhfa correctly. Okay. And obviously there are different levels of ikhfa, right? You may have heard just in kuntum, but there are actually different levels of ikhfa, and of course, that's more depth in detail. for later stages. And then not applying qalqala. So for example, you say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, and you don't say أَحَدٌ, right? So those are lahm khafi. So anyways, here it says that only the specialists in the field of tajweed and qiraat will be well acquainted with this type of error. Okay. So here are just some statements regarding some of the scholars regarding recitation, correctly reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. So Imam Abu al-Karam al-Shahrazuri, who passed away in the year 550 Hijri, rahimahullah, said, "We will now mention that which is required of the reciter with regards to Surah Al-Hamd, yani Surah Al-Fatiha, since Salah is a pillar of the deen." Right? We all know that prayer, Salah, is one of the pillars of Islam. Bunya al-Islamu ala khams, that Islam has been built upon the 5 pillars: Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah, or Shahadati an la ilaha illallah, wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, etc., so on and so forth. And then he says Surah Al-Fatiha is the pillar of Salah. So Salah is the pillar of the deen, and Surah Al-Fatiha is the pillar of the Salah, right? So it's very important that we recite it properly. Imam Abu Hafs Umar ibn Qasim here passed away in the year 938 Hijri, says, if you intend to recite Surah Al-Fatiha, then seek assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to its tajweed. Thus, if you have excelled in its tajweed, your salah will be correct, while 10 rewards and more are recorded for you with the correct recitation of your letter. I just want to stop here for a moment. You may have heard of the hadith that, how many of you actually have heard of the hadith, for example, man qara'a harfa min kitabillah, that anyone who reads a single letter from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will get 10 hasana, right? We'll get 1 hasana, and that 1 hasana will be equivalent to 10. You may have heard of that hadith, well, probably all of you. Now, in the hadith, it actually mentions hasana, right? So sometimes, like here it's translated as 10 reward, but what exactly is that hasana? Obviously, it's only known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So subhanAllah, keep that in mind, of course. Imagine every single time a person recites just, alhamdu, there's how many letters in that? Alif, lam, ha, mim, dal, right? And it can be multiplied by as many times as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills for it to be. So anyways, here, the following words in Surah Al-Fatiha require extra caution when pronouncing them. So here we begin, inshallah. So first off, the Basmala here, according to some, this is part of Surah Al-Fatiha. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ensure the complete pronunciation of the kasra. Okay, I hope you can see me properly, inshallah. I'll just try to explain it. So ensure the complete pronunciation of the kasra in the letters ba, mim, ha, and nun. Okay. So here in the footnotes, this refers to itmam al-haraka, completing the pronunciation of a vowel. With regard to complete pronunciation of a kasra, one has to lower the bottom jaw of the mouth. E. Okay. So here, listen very carefully. So he says that the ba has to be read properly. Basically, all the letters which have a kasra. So the ba, the mim, the noon, and the ha. Okay. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. Now, if you were to listen to a lot of people, they would just say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, right? Very lazy. Rather, you have to use the jaw here. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay. So again, Bismillah. You lower the jaw. Bismillah, and so on. Okay. And then number 2, ensure that tarqiq is applied in the letters lam. So what is tarqiq? Tarqiq means reciting the lam correctly. So reciting the lam lightly. Okay, so here, let's see the footnote here. Tarqiq means to make something thin or flat. Thus the lam in the name of Allah will be read empty if it's preceded by a kasra. So just a rule here, that if you have the word Allah and before it there is a kasra, then you must read it empty. What does that mean? So it should be la, bismillah, bismillah, and not bismillah. Okay, bismillahir rahmanir rahim is incorrect. Rather, it should be bismillahir rahman. Okay. Avoid overemphasizing the takreer in the letters ra, in the words ar-Rahman or ar-Rahim, not leaving it all together. What does that mean? So don't roll the ra too much, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That is incorrect. Okay. Rather, we should try to avoid the takrar or takrir, the repetition of the ra. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And then avoid changing the letter ha into ha, of course. This is a common mistake people make. that Bismillahir Rahman, right? They change the ha into ha and they say Ar-Rahim as opposed to Ar-Rahim. Okay, so very important. Where does the ha come from? It comes from the middle part of the throat. So if you place your finger in the middle part of your throat, the Adam's apple, and you say Ain and Ha, you get two letters from there, Ain and Ha. Okay, you should feel a slight vibration there. If you don't, then you know it's wrong. Okay, and where does Ha come from? It comes from the bottom part of the throat, the lowest part of the throat. Okay, and Ha, of course, is a bit easier to pronounce since we have it in most of the languages. In English, we have the H in hello. Okay, going forward, Alhamdu. Avoid changing the letter ha into ha. So don't say alhamdu, say alhamdu with a ha again. Alhamdu. Don't say alhamdu. And again, many people are just lazy. Right? They can read the ha perfectly fine, but they just don't want to do it. Right? And you have to be very careful about that. Right? I mean, as we've seen, if you read it incorrectly on purpose, then obviously the Surah Al-Fatiha may be invalid. Right? But on top of that, you may be even getting sin because you're doing it on purpose. Right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. So please do not be lazy and try to read these letters as best as you can. And of course, the more you read them, the more easier it will become. Imam Ibn al-Jazari mentions, rahimahullah, that وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةُ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. That the only difference between someone who is fluent in tajweed and can recite, flawlessly, and the other person who is struggling with tajweed and does not know tajweed is the practice or the exercising of the jaw. What does that mean? Basically, practice. All right. So very important that we practice a lot. I mean, one thing, how much time do we spend on other things? Honestly, like if we were to break it down, 24 hours that we have, every single person has the same time, right? If we break it down and we see how much time do we actually spend upon certain things which are completely useless, we would find that we're wasting a lot of time. Okay. Now, when it comes to the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is it not, does the Quran not have a right upon us that we should learn it properly? I mean, it's the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So why don't we spend time, especially the month of Ramadan? Again, the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. This is the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed. So, if this is not the time, if you won't study now, you won't go back to the Quran now, then when will you go back, right? So anyways, moving forward here. So don't say alhamdu, say alhamdu. Ensure that there is no gunna applied in the letter lam. Okay, what is gunna here? Gunna is a ringing sound that stems from the nasopharynx. Okay, what is the nasopharynx? In Arabic, we call this al-khayshum. It is the upper part of the pharynx that connects the nasal cavity above the soft palate. It is not the nostrils. So basically, the sound would be here, right? The ringing sound. So anytime we say N or M, naturally we're applying gunna anyways, okay? So we should not apply it in the lam. So you shouldn't say anhamdu, right? Many people, they just nasalize everything and they say anhamdu, right? And it's wrong. And I've heard, subhanAllah, hufaz, people who memorize the Quran, and they'll be reciting in Taraweeh like that as well. So very important, if you're listening there, if you're a hafiz or if you're not a hafiz, please make sure you do not apply any type of nasalization in the letters which are not supposed to be read with gunna. So the lam, alhamdu, and not anhamdu. Ensure that the complete pronunciation of the dhamma is right on the dal. Okay. So again, this is from itmam al-haraka. Itmam al-haraka means completing the haraka. What is a haraka? It is the fatha dhamma kasra, zabar zir pesh. Right? Zabar zir pesh or fatha dhamma kasra, call it what you wish. We have to make sure we complete it, right? So a-i-u. Again, alhamdulillahi, a complete rounding of the lips. Alhamdulillahi. Okay, look here. With regard to complete pronunciation of dhamma, one has to round the mouth. Okay, ooh. So again, don't be lazy. I've heard many people just say alhamdulillahi, alhamdulillahi rabbil, right? That's wrong. Alhamdulillahi. Take time, pronounce it correctly. Again, it may take time in the beginning. That's fine, right? If you're just coming back to reading correctly or trying to do it from the beginning, it will take time. And you might have to struggle with it or practice with it. That's not a problem, right? Because if we look at how much time we spend on useless things, on movies, on Netflix, on series here and there, right? We can sit there for hours upon hours, right? And we'll just waste time. So why can't we spend, even a fraction of that time trying to at least learn the Quran? Spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's everyone can find time, inshallah. right? So you might have difficulties in the beginning. That's fine, inshallah. You'll be rewarded for it. Alhamdu. The more you recite it, inshallah, you'll see that it becomes, it almost becomes impossible for you to recite incorrectly, right? So when someone's reading wrong, you'll be like, wait, it's supposed to be read like this, okay? Okay, next here, Rabbil Alameen. Ensure that there is no ghunnah applied in the letters ba and lam. Again, so don't nasalize. Do not nasalize, right? Only nasalize the letters in which you're supposed to read with the sound in your nose. So Rabbil, Rab, it's from the lips here. Ba is from the lips. Rabb. I should be able to plug this. Rabb. I should be able to plug the nose. This is a good test, by the way. If you want to know if you're reading nasalization or not, plug your nose and read. Al-ham, al-rab. If it sounds the same, rab, 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 then you know you're reciting correctly. And if you have a nasalization there, then obviously something's wrong. Okay, so rabbil ala. Okay, ensure that there is no tafkhim. What is tafkhim? Let's check here. Tafkhim literally means to make something full or fat, thus the ayn should not be read full. Very common mistake again, even amongst those who are huffaz, that memorize the Quran, they will make the ayn heavy. So they'll say, Rabbil Alameen, Rabbil Alameen. That's wrong. Rather, it should be A. Okay? It's not A, it's not a heavy letter. So don't make it heavy. Al-A, don't say A. Ensure that there is no imala applied on the alif. Very important again. Okay? So what is imala here? Imana is inclination. So the fatha inclines toward kasra. So basically, you don't want to say Rabbil Alameen. Okay, again, very common. Some people may just say Rabbil A. No, it should be alif only. A. Okay. Moving forward, the letter Ain should not be substituted for Hamza. Again, very common. Many people will just drop the Ain altogether and say it's too hard for me. I don't want to put struggle on my throat here. I'm just going to say Alameen, Rabbil Alameen. Again, that's a mistake, a major mistake. So make sure you try. Put some pressure upon yourself. If you're having difficulties, try. Rabbil Alameen, right? Don't be lazy. Ensure that the complete pronunciation of Fatha on the letter Mim as well as the Kasra on the letter Mim. So here, with regards to complete pronunciation of Fatha, one has to open the mouth. So I explained this at the beginning. This is called Itmam al-Haraka, or reciting the harakat completely. So you have to make sure that the fatha and the lam is read fully. Rabbil Alameen, lameen. Again, the fatha, open your mouth. La. And don't do a partial opening. Rabbil Alameen, right? That's wrong. Here, Ar-Rahmani, there shouldn't be hasrama. What is that here? Means to pronounce a letter, and in this case, it means to underpronounce the takrir. Okay, so underpronouncing a letter. So basically, it resembles a lam. So here it says the takrir in the ra, that's the pronunciation. The ra inclines towards resembling a lam. So nor any exaggeration of takrir. So first off, I explained previously that there should be no exaggeration. So you shouldn't say ar-Rahman, and likewise, you shouldn't under exaggerate, right? So that it sounds like a lam, because the ra and lam are very close together. The ra and lam, if you see it, ra and la, they both come from the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth. So if you undermine the takrir there, then it'll just turn into a lam. Al-Lahman, right? And that's wrong. Al-Lahman, that's wrong. Al-Rahman, Al-Rahmani. Next here, avoid changing the ha into ha. Of course, don't say Ar-Rahmani, right? It's a ha. And again, this is a common mistake that is made, so make sure the ha is read clearly. Next, Maliki. Ensure that the alif is lengthened after the mim. So don't say Maliki, Maliki. And I would add here, don't overstretch it. Don't say Maliki. It should be one alif, that's it. Maliki. Ensure that no ghunna is implied in the letter lam. Again, don't say Maniki, right? Rather, Maliki, li. Okay? And of course, the lam and then the kaf have to be read while you lower the jaw. Liki, don't say Maliki yawmiddin. Very common mistake. You hear people will just say Maliki yawmiddin, right? Maliki, liki, Maliki. Okay. And I just said this here. And obviously, don't stretch it too much so it becomes Maliki, right? There's no ya there. It's only kasras. Yawmi, ensure the complete pronunciation of fatha on the letter ya. Yaw. Okay. The lean in the letters waw should not be overstretched. Okay. What that means is don't say yawmi. Okay, just leave it as one. Yawmi. That's it. Yawmi. Okay. And I would add here, don't over emphasize the lean there. What is lean is basically the stretch. Don't say yawmiddin, maliki yawmiddin. Again, we hear this from some people. That's wrong. Lean means relaxation, ease. Yawmi. Okay. Do not apply gunna here. Again, don't nasalize it. Yawmi. Ensure complete pronunciation of kasra is read on the meme. Yawmi. Yawmiddin. Lower your jaw. Maliki yawmiddin. One thing I should add here, when you go back to Maliki, many people will just make the meme heavy and say Maliki. Okay, don't say Maliki, say Maliki. Maliki yawmiddin. All right, ad-din. Okay. So no hams should be applied on the letter da. What does hams means to whisper, right? So if you whisper on the dal, it becomes a ta. So don't say yawmittin, rather yawmiddin, deen, deen. It's a dal, not a ta. Precaution should be taken lest the gunna in the letter noon is not overstretched, okay? So ad-din, right? This means don't hold it too much and say ad-din, right? There's no stretch there. Okay, next here, iyaka. So ensure that complete pronunciation, again, kasra, it's iyaka, it's not iyaka, iyaka, it's e. Lower your jaw, iyaka, okay? The tashdid and rakhab on the letter ya. Okay, so the shadda here should be read, okay, on the word ya. So it's, don't say iyaka, and don't overstretch it and say iyaka, okay? Rather, iyaka. The hamza will join the ya, e, and then ya. Iyaka, iyaka, okay? And again, the kaf should be read with a fatha. Na'budu, avoid changing the letter ayn into hamza again. Don't say na'budu, say na'budu from the middle part of the throat. Na'budu. Again, I want to point out a mistake here as well. The ayn, a very common mistake amongst Arabs and non-Arabs. Some of them will just say, yeah, I said Arabs and non-Arabs with the ayn, yes. So some people will just say na'budu, na'budu, right? How many times have you heard this? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Na'budu, right? And they're reading amazing, right? But when it comes to the ayn, they're just not reading properly. So ayn should be read from the middle part of the throat. If you say na'budu, you're not reading the ayn correctly. Na'budu. And again, obviously don't read it like a hamza and say na'budu. Ensure complete pronunciation of dhamma as well as applying. So again, make sure that you read the dhamma clearly on the ba and dal. Na'budu. Round your lips. Bu-du. Na'budu. Okay? So it doesn't sound like na'budu, right? And obviously read the dal clearly. Na'budu. So it doesn't sound like na'bud, right? Again, common mistake. Some people just put a sukoon on the dal. It becomes na'bud. That's wrong. And don't overstretch it. So it becomes na'budu. That's also wrong. Nasta'inu. Make sure the ta is read clearly so it doesn't sound like nasta'inu. It's not a ta, it's a ta. Nasta. Don't overstretch it so it sounds like nasta'inu. And make sure obviously the ayn is read clearly. So it's not nasta'in, it's nasta'in. Ayn, the ayn. Ihdina. Okay. So first off, make sure the hamza is read clearly. So lower your jaw. Ihdi, ihdi. Of course, the dal as well. Secondly, don't put any qalqala on the ha, so it sounds like ihidi. No, it's ihdi, ihdi. It's not ihidi. And of course, the noon should not be read heavy. So it's not ihdinos, ihdinos. Right? A common mistake we hear. Ihdinos sira. No, it's not nos. It's na, na, na. Ihdinas. Okay. As-sirata. Of course, this very common mistake we hear again from many people, unfortunately, who again are hafad. The sad should be read as a sad. Okay, it's sad. It's not sin. Ihdinas. It's not ihdinas sirata. That is incorrect according to Hafs and Asim. It is ihdinas nasli. Fill the mouth. Sli. It's not si. Sli. I hope you guys are following along. Whoever is watching here. Sli. It's not si. Sli. Sli. Okay. Ihdinas sirata. And another mistake here. Some people will round their lips on the sad, thinking it's correct. So they'll say ihdinas sirata. Ihdinas sirata. That's wrong. It's not sweet. Don't move your lips. There should be no movement of the lips here. Rather, the jaw should just lower. Ihdina sweet. And if you see, if you close the lips, then actually you're just you're basically removing some of the sad, so it becomes like a scene, right? Ihdina swira, right? So make sure you don't do that. Ihdina siratal. Okay, make sure. Very important this point here. And obviously, the ra should be read heavy. Sira, it's not slira, right? And the ta should be read as a ta, so don't read it like sira tal. It's actually ihdina siratal. Okay, and again, the tal, make sure you don't round your lips and say tal, right? It's not tal, it's tal. No movement again. Al-mustaqim. Make sure that you don't make the scene into sad. Don't say al-mustaqim. It's al-musta. Al-mustaqim. The qaf should be read as a qaf. Again, common mistake. You hear some people say keem, al-mustaqim. No, it's not keem. It's a qaf. Qeem. Where does qaf come from? Can someone tell me? There are some few individuals we have with us here, inshallah. Can someone tell me where does the qaf come from? Where do you think the qaf comes from? Does it come from the nose? Obviously not. Where does it come from? Qaf. Qaf. I have someone writing here. Hard side of the inner mouth. Okay, so what I think you're saying is the hard palate at the back part of the mouth. Is that correct? Okay, very good. Alhamdulillah. Some people think it comes from the throat. No, it doesn't. Qaf comes from the very back part of the tongue. Okay, so you have the very back part of the tongue. Just right above it, you have the soft palate and the hard palate, right? If it's the hard palate, then you get the letter kaf, ek. And right behind that, towards the throat, you get q, aq. Right? If you stick your finger there, and I don't advise it, obviously, especially since we're fasting here, you'll eventually vomit. Okay, so that part there. So that would be q. So al-mustaqim, qim. Okay, make sure you don't say keem. Very important here. Okay, moving forward here, al-ladhina, al-mustaqim, sirat al-ladhina. Okay, so many people, they would just make the lam heavy again. They'll say sirat al-ladhina, al-ladhina. It's not la, it's la. Okay, sirat al-ladhina. And the dhal here, again, very common mistake. You'll hear many just say zina, right? Again, out of laziness. Zina, it's not a za, it's not zina, it's that. Your tip of your tongue should touch the bottom part of the top two teeth. That. Stick your tongue out a little bit. That. Alladhina. Dhina. It's not zina. Alladhina. An'amta. Okay. First off, do not bounce on the noon. Don't say an'amta. An'amta. No. The noon has sukoon. Okay. Sukoon means there's no fatha dhamma kasra. No zabar zay pesh. An'amta. An'amta. Secondly, say ayn. Don't say amta. An'amta. No. An'amta. Another thing is the first hamza in the beginning, it should be read a and not an. Okay? An'amta. And don't say ta, say ta. And of course, make the fatha clear on the ta. An'amta. SubhanAllah. If you say an'amtu, it changes the meaning. Right? An'amta, you bestowed your favor upon. An'amtu, I did. Right? See the change in meaning? Like, fa'alta, you did. Fa'altu, I did. Just the one haraka there. Nasarta, you helped. Nasartu, I helped. Right? So many examples. Darabta, you hit. Darabtu, I hit, and so on and so forth. Right? So just that one haraka can have a big change in the meaning. So be very careful. غير المغضوب. Okay, the ghain here. Many people will just round their lips and say غير. No, it's not غير. Ghain comes from the top part of the throat. Like when you're gargling. Okay. Many people just say gairin. It's not gairin, it's gairin. Back part of the, the top part of the throat, you get again, take your finger and press it there. You should feel some sort of vibration. If you don't, you know you're reading it wrong. So keep your mouth or your lip as it is. Don't round it. Make sure the ra is read clearly with a kasra. Lower your jaw. It's not ghayril, it's ril. Of course, the meme should not be read heavy. Very common mistake. You'll hear maghdubi. No, it's not magh, it's ma. Maghdubi. And of course, the lad, that requires a whole class, subhanAllah, the letter lad. Right? Arabic is called lughatul lad, the language of lad. And there's a reason for that. Because lad is, you can say, one of the most difficult letters to pronounce, and there's so much detail on it that I just go forward. Okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. You hear some people say dal, they'll say maghdubi, dubi. It's not dil. I'll try to explain here a little bit. How is lad read? Look here carefully. Lad, this is your tongue here. So your back part of your tongue, okay, from the tip all the way to the back here. Look here. This is my side of the tongue. From here all the way to the back, it should be touching the top molars up here. Should be pressed there, okay? Now it can be done on one side or the left side, right or left, it doesn't matter. Or it can be done on both. So the meaning your tongue is here and you're touching the left and the right molars. Obviously, it's very difficult. I myself have difficulty reading on the left, so I just do on the right. Most people find it's easier on the left, so you can experiment and see how it's done. And of course, it requires practice. I myself, alhamdulillah, memorized the Quran. I've read to so many teachers. I have ijaza in the Quran in different qira'at. But having said that, I still practice lad. Right? I literally go in front of a mirror and I go and I practice literally half an hour, 1 hour, just one letter. Okay? I'm not exaggerating at all. Okay? Obviously, this is, you can say, later. I mean, this is something you want to implement in your life, right? If we're spending so much time on other things, why can't we spend time on reading correctly, right? This is the language of the Quran. It's Arabic, so we should spend time reading it properly, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyways, lad here, many people will just say, they'll just, take their whole mouth and say lo, right? They'll move their lips too for some reason and say lo. And it's a very common mistake, okay? So make sure there is no movement in the lips here. Rather, lo. You see how it's read? Listen again carefully. Lo. And you can see, subhanAllah, most people are reading this wrong, including hufad. So it requires a lot of practice, requires a lot of patience, and it requires a lot of patience. Just go in front of the mirror, make sure you're reciting it properly. No movement of your lips here, because many people just say lo. That's wrong. There's much I can say about the lad here. Like I said, this requires a whole lecture, but I'll just leave it there. That inshallah. Just don't say maghdubi, right? It's not a dal. Okay. Alayhim, obviously read the ayn here. Don't say alayhim. And don't say alayhim. It's layhim. Make sure the ha is read clearly. Him, lower your jaw. Alayhim. Wala. Again, the lam here should not be read heavy. Don't say lad, walad. Rather, wala. And of course, when you're joining the lam to lad, you want to make sure there is that little hold, and that's called istitala. Okay, so you hear that sound? That's actually correct. Okay, so it shouldn't be like no. Rather, you must have that little hold there. Okay, and of course, don't use your lips. Or no. And don't say waladha. Right? Many people just make the dad into dha because it's difficult. They'll be like, you know what? Let me just make it into dha. And alhamdulillah, we have another view. Subhanallah. They say you can just read it into thick lam. Walallah. Right? All of these are wrong. Make sure that you stay away from those recitations. It is law. This is the correct pronunciation. The sound that you hear. Law. Okay, and not dha, not law. Not whatever else people are reading, right? Some people make it into da, so they use the front part. They say do. Now, to a person who's not studied tajweed, they may think it's the same sound, right? They may think it's the same thing, mo and do, right? But if you listen to it carefully, you'll see that there is a difference. Okay, obviously the dad should be stretched. And again, the lam after that should be read lightly, lean, not lean. Okay, make sure you stretch the dad here and don't leave it as walad. Okay, in conclusion, I hope that I have been successful in illustrating the importance of learning and applying rules of tajweed and Fatiha. In its articulation and pointing out dangers in lahan, in errors in which a reciter might fall into. Thus, it is incumbent upon every Muslim, male or female, to waste no time in rectifying the recitation of the surah under the tutelage of certified teachers who have acquired the asanid, chains of transmission, which can be traced back to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Yes, so for the recitation of Quran, we do have ijazat, we do have asanid. So I read to my teacher, who read to their teacher, and so on until it goes back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and seeking to understand its meanings by articulating its words correctly. However, even after striving to rectify one's mistakes, certain individuals might find themselves unable to pronounce the letters correctly. Thus, they should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Allah does not burden a soul except according to their capacity. That's what the author says, Sheikh Mustafa ibn Sha'ban al-Warraqi, very famous scholar there. And his, subhanAllah, his work on asanid, like the different chains, is amazing. Anyways, so he says here that even if you try so much and you're finding difficulties, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Allah does not burden the soul except according to their capacity. I would add here that, we shouldn't be lazy though. Okay, if you're reciting and you find that you're reciting the qaf incorrectly, don't just say, okay, Allah does not burden the soul, and that's it, right? La yukallifu Allah nafsan illa wus'aha, I'm done. I'm going to walk away and just recite this as I can. I tried my best, it's not working, and let's go ahead. No, that would be laziness. Okay, rather, if you're reciting that qaf wrong, practice upon it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sit in front of a person who can read a qaf correctly. Okay, and in front of a qualified teacher, and practice it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months. Eventually, you're going to go from 20% to 50, 50 to 75, and eventually you're going to go up, right? But if you're just lazy and say, I can't do it, I just can't do it. No, you can do it, right? You have to practice as much as you can. So with this being said here, this ayah here, that's correct, it's true. But having said that, I think many people will just find a way, and just use this ayah and say, no, I can't do it, right? No. So laziness should not be there, inshallah. We must strive and work hard. So that's pretty much it. I have a question here for the letter law. Is your cheek supposed to pop a little when pronouncing it? No. I mean, there should be no law. Well, of course, there should be a little bit, because what you're doing is you're applying pressure. Okay, so this is the side of your tongue, and you're applying pressure to the molars, but you're not applying pressure to a cheek. If you're saying like it should pop out like this, bo, like this, which is, this is how I used to recite it, by the way. Bo, like this, then that is wrong. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so it should not pop out like bo, rather it should be bo, barely popping out, right? Because you're touching the molars, you're not touching the cheek. Any other questions, inshallah? Of course, this is in Arabic. For those of you who speak Arabic, look here. It's obviously compiled in Arabic, so we've translated that. وَإِيَّاكُمْ. If anyone has any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we will go ahead and conclude here. Yes, so for those of you who wish to access this PDF, inshallah, I can send this to the admin. Okay, I'll send it to the admin, inshallah, in the group, and then they can forward it to whoever wishes to have it. Or I can just post it in the under the comments under Facebook if that's possible. I don't know if I can. Or even, you can just get my I'll write my email there underneath, inshallah. You can have that as well. So it's my first and last name, saud.malakhil@gmail.com. There's no spaces there. If you send me a message there, inshallah, I can forward you the PDF as well. Okay, inshallah. Yes, okay, I will post it, inshallah. Yes, I'll post my email. What I'll do, inshallah, then, if I don't know if I can type here. Let me see if I can. Should be able to type, but yeah, chat. Okay. Oh, yes, I can. Here, there we are. Okay, there's my email. Okay, so for those of you who are in the Zoom, you can see this here. If you're not in the Zoom and you're watching on Facebook, then inshallah, I'll just write it under the video, under the comments. I'll write my email there. And if you can just send me a message there, I'll go ahead and forward this to you, inshallah. Okay, anyone else have any questions? We'll wait just 1 or 2 more minutes and then we'll conclude here, inshallah.
Sheikh, I think that's all the questions.
Okay, perfect, inshallah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll conclude there, inshallah. And just in conclusion here, of course, make sure that you benefit from these last 10 nights of Ramadan, subhanAllah. They go by very fast. So make sure you're reciting the Quran if you're not. Try to learn the meanings of the Quran, of course. Try to apply it in your life, inshallah. And keep us all in your du'as. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open the doors of the masajid once again, so we can return back to the masajid, inshallah. And to alleviate the plague here that's going around, inshallah. and to completely remove it and keep us all safe and healthy. Ameen, inshallah. So we'll conclude there, inshallah. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
عليكم السلام.